Yes, yes. For everyone watching the replay, welcome to day 4. Excited to have you here. We're about to get going, about to get moving and grooving. And I'm recording this on a weekend, so I love that if you're watching the replay, you're watching this in your own timing. And for those that are on Zoom, just to really honor, yes to you. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Setting aside time on your Saturday. I don't take that lightly, right? It's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on a Saturday. Like for people who show up for themselves, it tells me a lot. It tells me you're prioritizing yourself. And for those of you watching the replay, if it's 9 o'clock at night, if it's a Monday, if it's a Tuesday, you're still prioritizing yourself. And I honor that. I often end up consuming content like this in a replay setting simply because often my days are scheduled. And so it's all perfect. It's all spectacular. Today, we're talking about what we consume and detoxify is who we become. If you're watching on Facebook, please do grab the link in the description. Register. That way you get the workbook and concierge support, and we'll give free resources and all the stuff, right? Let's get the show on the road, right? Welcome back to day 4 of Pause. I'm proud of you for being here, for leaning into this journey as my phone rings and I say, no, thank you. And we've covered a lot already, right? And today is going to take it even deeper. And before we dive in, let's go over some basic housekeeping, right? Please make sure you have your workbook ready. If you don't have your workbook, please put workbook in the chat, especially if you haven't been on day 1, 2, or 3, and this is your first day here. Yes, put your workbook, say workbook in the chat. And if you don't have it right now, that's okay. Don't get distracted and go printing it up. Just grab you're going to want pen and paper to write down. I'll do a share screen so you can at least see some of the visuals. And, it's where you'll be able to capture the shifts, the insights, the takeaways, and then also helps you kind of integrate everything, assimilate. Today, we'll talk a lot about assimilation, assimilate what you're learning. And if at any point you need support, once again, team, if you can put the text message and the phone number and the email address, it's already there. Aaliyah's already put it in there. So there's the text message, the phone number, the email, and the workbook link. So that way we have it. Day 1, if you missed it, we really dug into vitality. What is it? Everybody did their own assessment. Nicole's in the waiting room. Yay, yay. And really looked at the uncovering the hidden patterns, right? The habits that might be getting in our way and kind of unpacking. What do you mean fine? We don't want fine. And what's getting in the way of our fine? Then day 2, I talked about the 6 key areas that really keep a woman feeling fine instead of vibrant, right? And what happens when we finally address them. And it was a deep dive into root causes of exhaustion, hormone imbalances, and disconnection. So we can see how making key shifts can radically transform a woman's life, right? To tie it into our vision and our community and our confidence. We also heard from Katie, the team dietitian, who shared her insight on food as medicine, and Krista. It was so nice to have Krista, and she reflected on her own transformation, as well as how she now supports each and every one of you that say yes in whatever way you say yes to in the midst of my container, right? I've talked about the trifecta. I've opened up times for everybody to book a call. We can unpack a plan that's specific for you. And then day 3, we went deep into our hormones, our adrenals, and our thyroid, understanding how these foundational systems impact everything, right? We talked about so much there and gave some tidbits with nutrition and supplementation and what tests to make sure that you're getting. We explored symptoms, right? And then we also heard from Maria, who shared her incredible transformation. And I loved that she really highlighted for everyone how now a year later, it's still unfolding. It literally transformed who she became. Of course, her health changed and her energy changed, and she lost 80 pounds and her digestion got better and all of that. It transformed her marriage. It transformed how she showed up as a wife. And now today, she's in a dream job in a way that she realizes had she not said yes, when was that, 2, 3 years ago, she was on a path to not the greatest place, right? And now we're here on day 4. and we're going to have some fun time. So for those of you that are new, please put in the chat if you are new in my circle. Have you attended, like, new? This is your first time consuming any of my content versus OG. I'm an OG, original gangsta. OG, yes. OG. It's so fun to see Gloria and Shanae and Lance, but I know that's not. To see those faces. I love that your name is Lance on Zoom. Okay, for those of you joining today, and you don't know who I am, I'm Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale trained nurse practitioner, a functional medicine expert, and a woman who has dedicated my career to helping women, just like you, step out of exhaustion and overwhelm and into vitality, energy, and ease, right? This isn't just what I do, this is my passion. Like, I have aligned with my purpose on the planet. I actually think if you believe in lifetimes, I've probably been a midwife for lifetimes. And so I've walked this journey myself as a mom, a wife, as an entrepreneur, as a woman whose thyroid and adrenals crashed, in this my own throes of perimenopause. And I know what it feels like to put everyone else first, to find myself at a time in my life where I was running on empty and couldn't keep up, and then to actually prioritize myself and shift the way in which I was approaching my healthcare. And then I get to apply that every day in how I support the women that I support with an amazing team. Beyond my clinical experience, I'm also the host of a globally recognized podcast. It's ranked top 2.5% of all podcasts, and it's in the top 10 for women's mental health. It's called the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. So if you haven't listened to that, please do. And I think it's also fun. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the other days, but I've had fun along my journey of women's health, also doing work around the world. I've led international health projects in Ghana, Nicaragua, and Haiti, where I've had the privilege of serving communities in need and witnessing the profound impact of holistic health solutions, even in those populations. And of course, everything I gleaned from that has formed how I offer the gifts that I offer with the compassion and perspective, right? I'm a deep believer in miracles and prayer and the unseen forces that guide us, heal us, and remind us that transformation is always possible and miracles happen every day. So even if you're one of those that feels like you've tried it all, I can't tell you how many women have enrolled in one of our programs. They've seen every specialist you can imagine. I can think of Chris Kinney. He shared his testimony. He had seen 13 specialists. He'd been to the ER 8 times that year. And then poof, we had it. We got it transformed. And today we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked yet powerful aspects of that transformation. And it's around consumption and detoxification. So let's dig right in. Um, and it's not just about food. Like when we talk about consumption, of course, food is medicine, but it's everything we take in. So I really want you to listen through the lens of what am I taking in through my eyes? What am I taking in through my mouth? What am I taking in through my heart? And then how am I processing that and how am I detoxifying it? And we'll unpack that. We'll also be bringing in some deep connection to what we learned in previous sessions, right? Hormones, adrenals, thyroid, and to see how they all kind of tie together. And curious in the chat, what's one thing you've been consuming lately that you know is nourishing you? Could be a food, a book, a conversation, a community, a daily habit. What's one thing that you're consuming through your eyes, your mouth, or your heart that you know right now is serving you? Let's put that in the chat. What is something that is serving you? Spinach. Ooh, love it. Yeah. I just made a big pot of soup today and put a bunch of spinach and kale in there. Great podcast. Yeah. More protein and spinach. Yeah. Lots of veggies and positivity. Yeah. Right. So there's so much that we can consume. And sometimes I think we get to start out by going, oh, yeah, good job. And we also get to explore how consumption and detoxification impact our energy and our health and our clarity, right? So let's start with the process of consumption. And I'll give the example of, let's start with like an apple. It's simple, right? Your body goes through 5 steps. Let me do a share screen for those that don't have the workbook right now, or if you're watching the replay or you're on Facebook here. So this idea of We consume, we digest, we absorb, we assimilate, and we detoxify. Okay. They're all important. All five of these are just as important as any other, right? There's not one that we can say, oh, we got to prioritize that over another. But consuming, let's say you take a bite, it's your choice what you bring in. I'm choosing to bite an apple, I'm choosing to bite spinach, right? And when your hormones are out of balance, your cravings shift. You may unconsciously choose foods that spike your blood sugar, keep you stuck in energy crashes. Maybe you just don't even realize, oh, wow, I didn't know that that was part of the problem. I can't tell you how many women that we work with go, oh, I just had no idea. Right. Or think about when your confidence is low, you may consume things, whether it's food or information or relationships that reinforce self doubt instead of an empowerment. So you consume the apple, then you need to digest it. Your stomach breaks it down with acid and enzymes. We want healthy gut microbiome, right? When your adrenals are taxed and stress is high, digestion slows down. Honestly, digestion stops. So does your immune system, but we're talking about this right now. Your body prioritizes survival over breaking down nutrients. So now we've spent all this money on a beautiful organic salad that's been grown by local farmers and blessed by Himalayan monks. And now we're in this constant fight, flight, freeze response, whether it's real, imagined, or anticipated, and your body's not actually digesting the nutrients from the food. Or if your thyroid is sluggish and your metabolism is slow, it's delaying the digestion. Or Katie talked about gut microbiome, right? So then we go, all right. So there's all these ways that it can be impacted. So then we look at absorption. We need the nutrients to be extracted and actually sent into the bloodstream. Okay. If your gut is inflamed or you have leaky gut, people go, how do I know if you have leaky gut? Well, come work with us. But also if there's brain fog and you're low energy and you're feeling like you're not absorbing your nutrients, you know, gut bloating, all that stuff. There's someone in the waiting room. Amazing. Or if your adrenals are depleted, so gut inflamed, leaky gut, adrenals depleted, its absorption is compromised, meaning even healthy food won't fully nourish you. Aaliyah, I'm realizing I never confirmed with Sheila today. Would you confirm with her just to make sure she's good? Because I know she's coming on for the testimonial and I was home with a sick kiddo and forgot to. Thank you. Okay, so then we go, all right, we've absorbed it, we've digested ideally. Next, we go to assimilate. Okay, we want our body to use what has been absorbed. And we want our body to not absorb the stuff that's actually not serving us, right? So if there's high stress, your body won't efficiently assimilate nutrients. Instead, it stores fat, craves quick fixes like sugar and caffeine. And then if you're exposed to a toxic load, the body goes, oh no, there's a toxin, trap it in fat. We don't want it to wreak havoc on those internal organs. So now we're putting on more adipose tissue or fat and we're going, why can't I lose weight? Part of it is because we can't absorb, digest, or assimilate. And the body's trying to trap these toxins. And so now we're putting on weight and the toxins, the nutrients can't be absorbed well either. And if your hormones are out of balance, your energy's off, your metabolism is sluggish, it makes it all harder to feel clear, strong, and energized, right? And then we look at detoxification. We want to detoxify whatever isn't needed. We eat the apple, we absorb the nutrients. Did you know an apple has 10,000 ingredients that we know of? That's why you're never going to hear me suggest a multivitamin. It's very rare that I'm going to suggest a whole lot of, like, you're not going to leave with a bag of supplements. Because we go, all right, well, sure, you could take the vitamin C from the apple, or you could just eat the apple and get the other 9,999 ingredients that know how to work in synergy the way nature intended for it to be. And then sometimes we bring in very personalized, potent, and specific supplements. So for detox pathways, we need them to be solid, right? Especially when our thyroid is functioning well, if there's toxin buildup, which all of us have simply from the water we drink, the air we breathe, the makeup we put on our face, the additives that are put in our food. It's just the reality. And so then we have bloating and brain fog and fatigue. We've got to support our body and how our body gets rid of all of that. Okay. We have to have a bowel movement every day. It's a non negotiable. I just worked with a client. She used to have a bowel movement once every 4 to 14 days. And now we're moving daily. It's like, I can't tell you how substantial that is. And once again, if you're in overstress, your body's going to hold on. It's going to hold on to weight. It's going to hold on to inflammation. It's going to hold on to even emotional wounds. Okay. So, how many of you have experienced sluggish digestion, feeling bloated, especially after eating a meal, being tired even after a full night's sleep? Just put yes in the chat if you can relate to that. Any sluggishness in digestion, any bloating, any having a full night's sleep and still feeling tired. Aaliyah, I see you put OG for life. I love it. New OG spinach. Yeah. Definitely got, okay. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, Aaliyah. Yeah. Just put yes in the chat. I see yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Can relate. Yeah. And so this is why supporting our detoxification system and being mindful of what we consume is so important. Thank you, Ellie. I appreciate it. And so Katie and I can help you shift what you put in your mouth to better serve your adrenals, your thyroid, your hormones, your detoxification, but also to make sure that everything is dialed in so that you can absorb and assimilate and detoxify. Along the journey, start shifting what comes out of our mouth as well. I don't know if you heard me say it's what comes in and out of our eyes and our mouth and our heart. It's all related to consumption. It's all related to detoxification. So through what mind's eye are we choosing to see the scenario? What are we allowing into our eyes? What are we allowing into our mouth? And are we setting boundaries and speaking our truth? Right? Are we allowing our deepest heart's desire to be expressed out? And are we surrounding ourselves with community so that what we're consuming through our heart really serves us? Yeah. So let me dig into that a little bit more. Your brain and nervous system are constantly absorbing what you see. Social media, news, your environment, all of it impacts your stress levels, your hormones, and even your body's ability to heal. So let's come back here. Can you guys see that? Put in the chat if you can see the image from the workbook. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I see that you have the opposite, that your bowels eliminate everything. Absolutely. It is just as much of a sign. And I'm so appreciative that you highlighted that. In some scenarios, our body is just detoxing too fast, where people will come in and they have diarrhea. So now that's still a sign that your body's not absorbing and assimilating the food. It's not digesting it well. It's just going straight through. So in some scenarios, we're over detoxing and we're not able to actually go through the whole process of absorbing. Thank you for putting that in the chat because that's an important piece. Right. And then we go, all right, what are you scrolling through daily? Is it inspiring or is it draining? Are you consuming content that lifts you up or makes you feel inadequate? Do you notice yourself in comparisonitis? Is your environment supporting your healing or adding to your stress? Right? So we get to go, all right, what if we paint the picture of an ideal? And ask yourself, what do I consume that serves me every day? What area of my life is most potently absorbing and assimilating? What am I consuming? How are you thriving? What do you tolerate? Meaning you're consuming it, but don't want to. How do you feel? How do you sleep? What do you give your energy to? How do you feel with community? How are you showing up? What do you let go of? Right? You get to ask yourself these questions. How is your digestion and detoxification? How do you feel with your healthcare provider ideally? And how does it feel currently? What do you believe about yourself? Right? So there's space here in the workbook to really take some notes, thinking through eyes and mouth and heart. And then to go, what do I need to absorb better? Where am I maybe not assimilating information? Maybe I go to church. Am I really assimilating the content? Am I letting go of the parts that feel like they don't serve me? Yeah. And what is it time to detoxify? So when I talk about this consumption, if stress is too high, your brain will focus on threat and negativity, making it harder to absorb positivity and possibility. So just take a moment and reflect. What's one thing you consume visually that you know currently isn't serving you? Your environment, your community, the books you're reading, the media you're watching, the scrolling that you're doing. What's something you can say, I'm allowing into my eyes, but I actually can say it's not serving me? Hi, Sheila. Nice to see you scrolling. Yeah, right. And sometimes scrolling might serve you if you really do a good job at only tuning into those social media accounts that lift you up, but often they don't. And we go, all right, are we spinning and kind of obsessing over something that's completely out of our control? Andrea, what about you? I'm curious what comes up for you. Shanae, Sheila, Sunny. I shared it a couple of days ago. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. I don't remember. Do you remember? What was it? Do you remember? Oh, Facebook. Yeah. To go, right. Facebook is not serving me. So where do I set some new boundaries to be aware of I'm consuming this, right? And then we go, okay, food isn't just fuel, it's information to your body. If your digestion is weak, even the healthiest food isn't going to nourish you. So are you rushing through meals, eating in a stress state? Are you chewing your food thoroughly or not? Katie mentioned, are we taking supplements because they work for our friends, but we're just kind of shooting darts in the dark and we actually have no idea? Yeah. Are you supporting your gut health with real food that someone has said, yeah, here's what's going on with the data, right? How can we go in and support? And to be able to go, I would like support to go, what can I shift and what I consume? And then what do we consume through our heart? The words that you hear, the relationships you engage in, the ways you speak to yourself when you look in the mirror. You know, I've breastfed 3 babies. When I'm out of the shower and looking in the mirror, what is my self-talk? And to be able to go, if you wouldn't talk to your own daughter that way, what are you doing? So we get to flip the switch to be able to be in a state of this lifts my heart up. Even when I'm consuming my own thoughts and I'm consuming the people that I spend my time around, they say that we're a byproduct of the 5 people we spend the most time around. And if our hormones are imbalanced, it's going to remember with the 6 areas that keep us in fine. It's then going to impact our energy, which impacts our confidence. And now we're second guessing ourselves and making choices from a place of depletion instead of empowerment. And once again, if our adrenals are taxed, our emotional bandwidth is low and it makes it harder to set boundaries or to protect our energy. Yeah. So to go, oh, all right. Write in the chat, what's something that I could do that might nourish my heart today? What's something that I could shift in what I consume that will actually nourish my heart? Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a call to someone that you haven't talked to for a while. Maybe it's an act of kindness. Maybe it's shifting how you speak to yourself or boundaries that you set. Or to take that leap, like Maria shared yesterday, to finally do the thing and be in an absolute dream job of hers. What's something you could do? Paint. Started some online lessons yesterday. Yeah. Spend a day with a good friend yesterday. Oh my God, so good. Chatting with a friend. Yeah. To nourish my heart, I seek conversations with others. Yeah. I think often it comes to connection and it comes to presence, which more often than not requires some vulnerability, requires some groundedness and self-confidence to allow for it. Yeah. Today I filled up my heart by being present with my kids. My 12-year-old's homesick. And I love that I could just be here and be still and be present. I sent an apology letter to someone that my heart was calling to heal. Yeah. If anybody's familiar with Ho'oponopono, it's so good. And hot baths. Ooh, yeah. Put some Epsom salts in there. Yum, yum. Okay. So I want to keep going through this, but I also want to honor Sheila's time. We're going to do a little testimonial with Sheila. And then afterwards, I'm going to dig a little bit more specifically into detoxification because I really want you to understand the detox pathways and to kind of tie this all together. So, Sheila, if we can spotlight both of us. Here, I think I can spotlight. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hi, you.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
You look good.
Thanks. You too. You're home, obviously.
Yes, I've been home the month of January and I'm having trouble leaving my house. It's so nice to be home.
Yeah, especially because you travel a good amount.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm curious if you would just start out, just kind of introduce yourself. You just are finishing up the Women's Vibrancy Accelerator trifecta. I'm curious if we go back to before you said yes. If you just can go back to that, like who you were, what you were struggling with, what you were hoping for. Can you just share a little bit about that version of you from, a few months
Yeah.
ago? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Um, I started a journey, I think, at the beginning of last year, not really realizing that I was on a journey. And then it just kind of evolved. And so when Maraya came into the picture, I was really struggling and have all my life struggled with sleep. And I had watched her I think it was one of your podcasts that I watched. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to really dive into every suggestion, and nothing was working. So I just kind of kept Maraya in the back of my mind, and I'd watch another podcast, and then she had a pause program, and I joined. And so my target at that time was I think I didn't know what I didn't know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I real in retrospect, you know, there was a lot of shifting that needed to be done, but in my mind, I really wanted to take care of the sleep aspect. But I got the whole whammy. So
Okay.
it's been a good ride.
Okay. I'm curious. Share a little bit more when you say the whole whammy. So you thought it was sleep that you wanted to tackle,
And
and you got the whole whammy. So tell us a little bit. What was that? I can't wait to hear too.
yeah, so it not understanding, I think that how my hormones had the shifting of the hormones had impacted me overall. Um, um, has been enlightening. So the education piece of it, and not only that, just being able to resolve just a lot of little things. And big things too. I'm completely anxiety free now. That was kind of a bonus. I've been working on that for a while, and Maraya kind of helped me shift all the way through that. So, yeah, that was so. It's the big whammy is kind of like the big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm hearing the realization of I didn't know what I didn't know,
Hmm.
wanting transformation in sleep and getting that, but also going, oh, wow, now I understand the bigger picture of what was going on and how that was having a cascade of influence in other areas of my life, anxiety being one. I'm curious if you can put to words what any of the others were, anything else that you can just speak to what's changed.
Yeah. Overall, I just feel better.
Hmm.
For sure. There was, clarity is better.
Hmm.
Most days, I'm not going to say I'm always. I'm still working a little bit on focus, but clarity is better. I had developed acne on the back of my legs and fought it and fought it and fought it. And as soon as we started the supplements, it just disappeared. So,
Hmm.
who would have thought that that would have been related to hormones? Not me. Um,
Yeah.
so, so
Yeah.
just little things like that just
Mm.
have really made a nice shift.
I love it. I love it. Um, Anything change at all in who you be? So, yes, anxiety and brain clarity and sleep and skin and education and overall wellness, because, the skin is the largest organ in the body. I think of it as the most vocal. So, when our skin clears up, it says a lot about what's going on inside. But what about in the midst of the journey? Can you identify anything that was like, oh, this changed not just in symptoms, but who I was being or how I was going through my day? Anything there?
Yeah. And so part of that journey throughout the year was tackling the anxiety and the fear because I have lived in fear my entire life. And so I was in the midst of working on that when I entered your program. So I think that was the biggest impact as I resolved that. At work especially, I just have the ease of
Hmm.
of going through the motions when I need to reach out to leadership or without that underlying fear. Is this a stupid request? I that, so who I'm being now is more authentic and without that fear and anxiety, it's just I am different. It's easier to keep the little negative demons out of my head now. So it's just really, yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. It's so big. Like I really want everyone to hear it. Like the ease and authenticity and clarity and understanding and sleep and feeling better. Like those are substantial. And the domino effect in every other area is so big. I'm curious, and this is a big question, but does it feel like there's any new hope for the future? Like the version of you and what we tackled, do you notice any shift in kind of what doors feel like have been opened up?
Um, I wouldn't say that uh, doors opening up necessarily,
Hmm.
but I'm still I'm working towards and it's a more positive approach what my next adventure is in life essentially.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So I certainly don't want to stay in the job I'm in. I know that's not for me, but I do see that there's a bigger picture out there that I'm not
Oh,
just stuck. Yeah.
yeah. And for those of you that have been on every day, do you hear the theme? So Krista shared day one. It's like the lights turn on and you see life brighter and you start going, oh, wait a minute. Now that I'm feeling better and I have more confidence, the vision of other possibilities show up. And
Mhm.
then Maria shared the same thing yesterday. And now Sheila, you. Um, it's awesome. Anything else that you want to share about just the journey and where you were and where you've become and what was most beneficial along the journey? I guess like Were there certain parts, you had access to the Q&A calls and the modules and one-on-one time and testing. Were there any certain components for you that really felt like that was a game changer?
Yeah, I think it just all fits so easily hand in hand. Being able to have such good communication with you and Katie, and just the willingness if we needed to, if I reached out and needed to shift something. So I think I don't know that there was one thing. I just think it all worked seamlessly to
Yeah.
bring it a smooth
Yeah.
journey. Yeah.
I'm so glad. Because we're all behind the scenes with Aaliyah and Krista and me and Katie, and we talk about everybody often and figuring out, okay, what's going on and what does she need and how can we step in and support? And so I'm glad that you felt it from all of us as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm so thrilled for your journey, and it's been an absolute delight to support you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And cheers to no anxiety and better sleep. That's
Oh my
significant.
gosh. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sheila.
You're
Anything else that
welcome.
you want to add before I take your spotlight down?
No,
Okay.
it's just been great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
when people come on and do their testimonials, they're just sharing from their hearts. I didn't tell her in advance what I was going to be asking. I didn't even necessarily know. I see Melissa saying you're great, Sheila. So thank you for sharing your honesty. And it's not easy to share that kind of vulnerability, but it's real and your transformation is real. And then I always tell myself, if she can, I can. So as you're listening to these testimonials, if there's anything that they're saying that you can relate to, and if there's been any moment of losing hope, you can say, if she can, I can, right? In your own version of it. And all of you are listening through your own lens. Okay, so if we loop back to what we consume and detoxify is who we become, I want to really stress the importance of detoxification. Because just as important as what we take in is what we let go of, right? So go back to an individual who's rarely having a bowel movement or holding on to old resentment, right? Trauma from childhood that hasn't been let go. Those stories of arguments with females or feeling backstabbed or whatever it is, if we're not letting it go and detoxifying, we're then reabsorbing it. So it's kind of crass, but literally that apple that you've eaten and it's digested and hopefully absorbed and assimilated. And then if it doesn't get out, if you're not having a bowel movement, your body literally just reabsorbs the toxins and now they become recirculated. We have to be able to get them out. Okay. So whether it's food or stress or emotions or even the opinions of others, without releasing what doesn't serve us, we become weighed down. Okay. And what weight and that weight doesn't just exist in our bodies, but in our minds and our relationships and our energy. And yes, if you're someone that's listening that's wanting to actually lose pounds and lose inches, then yes, we will be doing work on letting go in all areas, helping your body better detoxify. Yes, yes, through your stool, through your urine, through your sweat, activating your liver, but also looking at what are all the layers of detoxification, right? So your body is designed to detox. We want your liver, your kidneys, your bowels, your lymphatic system to all work really well so we can filter out toxins and get them out, but often we need extra support. And sometimes, we've gone to mainstream providers, they haven't really tested for anything, they don't know. And the symptoms can be kind of vague, not just constipation or diarrhea, but there's so many others, right? And it's not just physical, but mental and emotional, quote unquote, toxins, even excess light they call an endocrine disruptor. So as simple as, too much artificial light at night and reading through your Kindle, that is considered an endocrine disruptor, right? So there's so many ways that we can help support you. And okay, so if we're talking about detoxification, we obviously want to drink plenty of water, to flush out the toxins. We want to eat fiber-rich foods. We want to make sure we sweat, right? So sauna can be lovely. And then, like I said, really getting support to make sure that your liver, your kidneys, and your gallbladder and gut are all on board. I'm right now doing a 30-day detox that's really targeted towards liver, kidneys, and gallbladder. And it's so cool that I can keep working. I can be present as a mom. I can keep doing my workouts. It doesn't have to be something that weighs you down and you're in the bathroom every 30 minutes. So there's lots of possibilities out there. So I'm curious if you just drop in the chat, what's one thing that you feel like you can do today to help your body better detox physically? Maybe it's drinking more water, getting more movement. We talked about cruciferous veggies yesterday. Um, Exercise enough, sweating, sauna, helpful too. Yes. So depending on what kind of exercise you're doing, you want to get a good, like, sweat dripping detox. Yep. Reading about The Body Keeps the Score. It's such a great book. Um, I have one of the women that I brought into the year-long program. And so when we have a call, there's a lot of different offerings that I have. With the trifecta, it's the core modules that really take you through this fundamental system to really set the foundation for your first 90 days. I also have the broader year-long program with a portal of every group recorded call since April of 2020. The mindset calls, the call with the team sexologist, the call with the team dietitian, guest experts that often charge thousands of dollars an hour to come in. I mean, so much content. But the reason I bring that up is regarding The Body Keeps the Score. One of the women that I brought in that recorded call is in the portal. She studied with him directly to really talk about trauma. It was such a potent call. Yes, more to infrared lights. Yep, I love it. And 15 minutes at a time, so good. Drinking more water. Yep, totally easy. Anything else? Anything else that's like, okay, what about detoxing from an emotional standpoint? Is there something that happened to you that maybe that you haven't let go of yet? An interaction with a person, an interaction with a partner, a mother, a sister, a friend, right? Is there any shift that we can go, oh, wow, I can see how maybe I'm blunting the letting go, or I haven't fully absorbed and assimilated. Sometimes women have kind of blockages with their worthiness. And so they'll block the absorption of really letting the love in, really letting the support come in, allowing full receivership. Yeah, I love you're going to Yoko Ono, Ho'oponopono, my stupid neighbor. That's silly. I'm spending lots of time healing a relationship. Great. Yeah. Awesome. And to be able to go, right, I'm going to heal that relationship, let go of what doesn't serve me, and really shift what I'm consuming and take note of, is who I'm being impacting the absorption and the digestion and the assimilation of the relationship, of the education, of the how I'm spending my days, right? Once again, limiting time spent scrolling social media, unsubscribing from emails that drain your energy, making sure that you're creating quiet time. Nature walks, time in nature is so powerful. Even something as simple as oh, Shinrin Yoku is another one. So I talked about Ho'oponopono. If you don't guys don't know that one, it's Hawaiian based and it's beautiful. And then Shinrin Yoku is Japanese and it literally translates as forest bathing. We can do so much for our nervous systems by being out in the forest and nature walks with our feet off, feet on the soil. Oh my gosh, so good from a detox perspective. Yeah. And then there's the emotional detox, the big one, right? Sometimes it's not just what we're eating that's making us sick, it's what we're holding on to. Old stories, past relationships, self doubt, guilt, expectations placed on us by others that we've chosen to take on as true, old ways of being that no longer serve us. So, in the midst of the trifecta, there's a whole series of modules specifically on nervous system recalibration and self awareness around who have I been leading as, And if I allowed myself to shift that, what are the leading feelings and emotions I really want to lead with? To go, what emotions are living in my body that's creating stress or anxiety? Physical symptoms like headaches and weight gain or insomnia are holding me back from really doing what I love. And where can I create some shift there? So when I talk about consumption and detoxification, it's not just food and supplements, right? I don't want you just to take a bunch of supplements willy-nilly. I call it expensive urine, especially if you're not absorbing it, because the majority of them aren't absorbed anyways, right? So setting boundaries with relationships that drain you can be a great step. I'm seeing time and grief and guilt. Yeah. Uh-huh. Um, Letting go of guilt. Even to let go of guilt for prioritizing yourself. As I've opened up the doors to the trifecta, some women go, "What do you mean? I'm going to invest in myself with time and energy and money? Ooh, I don't know." And we get to go, wait a minute, where did that come from? What if we let go of the guilt or the worthiness or whatever's in the way and go, I'm going to shift what I consume. And along the journey, I'm going to let some stuff go and release the limiting beliefs that have kept me stuck. Right? So you get to ask yourself, what's an emotion, a thought, or a relationship that maybe it's time to detox from? And if you want to put it in the chat, you're welcome to, because I would love to honor it, acknowledge it, see it. Yeah. And as we're getting close to wrapping up, self-doubt. Yeah. Right. And then we go back to the day where we talked about the 6 areas that keep a woman in fine. Without confidence, it's going to impact our energy. It's going to impact our libido. It's definitely going to impact our community and our relationships, as well as our ability to cast vision, right? So we get to step in and really take an account. And one of the exercises I take everybody with in the trifecta is a whole account of how am I treating myself? And it's so comprehensive, looking through things and places and support. I mean, it's so comprehensive and lovely. And women go, "Oh, I didn't even realize it. Wow." So just allow yourself to take a breath and put your hands on your heart and ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that I no longer need? It's not serving me. I get to let it go. Maybe it's an old version of me, and here I am, a new woman, right? A pattern of overgiving. Maybe it's a belief that you have to do it all. You have to do it all alone. I learned self-reliance at a very early age, and I get to let that go. Maybe it's the idea that you have to wait for the quote unquote right time to prioritize yourself, right? Or I have to have all the cash right now. It is amazing to me when we make the decision to say yes and invest in ourselves. I can't tell you how many times a woman says the cash just showed up because I made the declaration and I created the space for it because I said yes to me. Mm-hmm. And whatever it is, know this, you do not have to carry it anymore. You're allowed to release it. You're allowed to create space for more lightness and ease and vitality. And so today I get to challenge you a little bit. Don't just consume the information, take action. Choose one thing to detox. It can be physical, mental, emotional, and allow yourself to say, I'm going to commit to this. And if you're willing to share it in the chat, text it, email it to the team, awesome, because then they share it with me. And this is your time. We get to choose our vibrancy, right? Because we're always consuming food, information, relationships, beliefs. Coming in, they're going out. And we're always processing physically, mentally, emotionally. Are we absorbing? Are we assimilating? Are we absorbing the stuff that we actually don't even want to absorb? It's doing us harm. But we must also be intentional with what we release so that we don't become burdened by things we were never meant to hold on to. So, what's a small shift that you can make today, whether it's nourishing your body, your mind, or your heart? And I'd love to see it in the chat. I'll take a sip of water. Yeah. Allow yourself to put it in the chat. I see many writing in their journal. I am vibrant. Yeah. Yeah. Say that's what I consume. I consume that I am vibrant. I consume that it's a possibility. I consume that I'm spectacular. I consume that I'm worthy. I consume that I'm lovable. I consume that I belong. Totally. And then we get to change our mind's eye to see it and find the evidence, because I promise you the evidence is there if we shift our gaze. Okay. If it feels like I don't see it in my reality, choose a new reality. Mm-hmm. Since this pause, I've added more greens each day, which feels good, and making this hour important to my day this week. Yeah, so good. I think green is one of the most important colors. So I'll often say every color every day. Food coloring and M&Ms don't count, right? Every meal, if you can sit down and say, I count at least 3 colors, not white, yellow, brown, but actual colors. But of all the colors, they're all important and they play different roles. They're bringing in flavonoids and phytonutrients and antioxidants and vitamins and minerals. But green, I think, is one of the most important. So I love that, Sunny, to say I'm bringing in more greens each day. And it can be like what Katie mentioned, spinach, kale. It can also be spirulina powder, right? We sneak it in. What was it? Last night I made some scrambled eggs and added them to the tacos, and I snuck some spirulina powder into the scrambled eggs. Doesn't change the taste, but we're able to get in some greens. Nourishing my creative side, going to go and paint again after I do some more reading. Then spinach. I love it. It's just like compiling. We're gonna do it all. So good. And the more intentional you are with what you consume and what you release, the more space you create for vitality, clarity, and deep, lasting transformation. So I really appreciate you being here. And stretching. Yeah, stretching. I mentioned lymphatic. Stretching, we're literally massaging the body. We want to get that lymphatic system moving our body. Yeah, so good. And to be able to do it intentionally with presence, sometimes we just go through our day, but other times we get to go, no, this is intentional. This is for me right now. Okay, so just a reminder with the trifecta, we've got till February 5th, right? So it's the Women's Vibrancy Accelerator trifecta, where we take these insights and turn them into real transformation. It includes I'm covering the cost of your functional medicine testing. So the Dutch Plus test and blood testing, thyroid being one of the big ones. Personalized support. So you get a one-on-one call with me and a one-on-one call with Katie. And then I've added in that extra one-on-one with me as long as you say yes by February 5th. And then the ongoing guidance, right? Twice a month live Q&As. You can be on live, ask your questions in advance. Once you're in there, you'll have access to all the past live Q&As over the last couple of years. And then the modules. I've heard everybody say how much they appreciated the assimilation and the foundational education to go, oh, I didn't realize what I didn't know, right? And with all of that together, it's valued at 13,000. Normally I charge 5,500 for the trifecta. That doesn't include the VIP day that I'm adding on and the extra call with me. So right now it's just 4,200 for the entire trifecta plus the virtual VIP day and the extra call with me. Raisa, thanks for putting the link in the chat. I appreciate it. Yes, you can do installments. Yes, you can use HSA funds or FSA funds. The big question is, am I ready to prioritize me? Yep. And so as we bring today's session to a close, let's step back and look at the bigger picture, because it isn't just about food. It isn't just about mindfulness. It's not just about what's on our plate and the supplements that we're taking, although they're important. It's about your life, about everything you consume physically, mentally, and emotionally. To hear Sheila say her skin cleared up, the acne on the back of her thighs that had been years, many specialists. And fascinating. We decrease the inflammation in the body, feed her body what it needs, and now the largest organ in the body quiets down. I'll have women recover from autoimmune conditions. I mean, there's so many examples on the replay page. Watch those testimonials. They're real. And if nothing else, it gives you hope. And just as important as what you take in is what you choose to release. And to be able to do it in the supportive community goes a long way. Okay. So every single day you make choices. You choose what you eat, you choose what you listen to, you choose what you engage in, you choose the conversations you participate in, the relationships you nurture, and the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind. And so every one of us, these choices either brings you closer to vitality, joy, and ease, or deeper into fatigue, depletion, and disconnection. And so we get to make different choices. And most of us spend so much energy taking in, holding in, carrying, but not enough time releasing, not enough time truly assimilating and absorbing, clearing and detoxifying, which doesn't serve us. We take in the expectation of others. We consume information at a relentless pace, scrolling and reading and reacting and learning, and we absorb the weight of past relationships, childhood wounds, unprocessed grief, generational conditions. And we hold ourselves back. We get to change. We get to make declarations and say, just because I've done it this way for a long time doesn't mean that it still works for me. Just because I've believed this thought or I've been associated with this group that has this way of being doesn't necessarily mean it's what I want to continue to consume. And just like an overloaded system struggling to process food, our bodies and minds become overwhelmed by what we never take time to release and shift and change, because change is the most confronting thing we'll do, right? It's not safe to the nervous system, but you wouldn't be here if you didn't want to actually change. And so you get to do it with the support of recalibrating the nervous system to go, oh, I am going to change, and it is going to be safe, and it is going to feel good. And the people around me will recalibrate in whatever way they do. And I will let them. And then I will let me, if anybody's paying attention to Mel Robbins right now. So I want to ask you, where in your life are you consuming without processing, without detoxifying, right? The way you've allowed stress to accumulate in your body without ever discharging it, wondering why these lingering symptoms are still there. Yeah, you can have access to the replays. They're emailed out. And then team, if you can put that in the link, that'd be the link in the chat. That'd be awesome too. And one of the biggest reasons women feel stuck isn't because they aren't consuming enough of the right things. It's often because they haven't made space for them to go, I'm going to make space for me and prioritize me because I serve lots of people all day, every day. Right? Imagine trying to redecorate a home, but never clearing out the clutter. You can bring in the most beautiful furniture, but if there's no room for it and there's trash all over the ground and dirt on the walls, it won't change the space. And the same applies to your body and your energy and your life. So healing isn't just about adding more, it's about removing what no longer serves you so you can create space for what truly nourishes you. And that's why when you hear all these testimonials, they say it's a comprehensive, multidisciplinary container where, yes, you get to move those symptoms out of the way and sleep better and get rid of anxiety if that's what it is for you. And then the lights turn on, and what next? Okay. So if you want more clarity, you must first clear out the mental noise, the endless scrolling, the overconsumption of information, the belief that you don't already know what you need. And if you want more energy, you must first clear out the habits that are draining you, the late nights, the processed foods, the pushing through exhaustion, the going to the providers that say everything's fine and you feel dismissed, but you still aren't getting answers, and just going through your day feeling quote unquote fine. If you want deeper, more fulfilling relationships, you must first let go of some of the people and the patterns or the way in which those people have shown up in your life and you've shown up in theirs. Past hurts. And we get to allow ourselves to change. And detoxification is not just physical. So take a moment to pause and close your eyes if you're comfortable with it, and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that's no longer serving me? What have I consumed that I have yet to release? What do I need to shift in what I'm consuming? I often say stop asking people for directions to places that they haven't been. If you're going to, only 1/3 of physicians will graduate from med school having taken one nutrition class. They're doing the best with what they have. But you also get to ask new people for directions to places that you want to go, and they've been there and they've helped others get there too, right? Whatever it is, I want you to know this. You do not have to carry it any longer. You get to set it down. You get to detoxify it. And so place a hand on your chest and take a deep breath. Feel your body, feel your energy and presence. And you are already in the transformation. You're here. The shifts have actually already begun. And I get to ask you and invite you to make a declaration to yourself. What's something that you're ready to detoxify? What's a change that you can say, I actually desire this change, and I'm realizing the interconnectedness with all the areas that are keeping me stuck in fine. And, I'm thrilled to be able to offer up the Women's Vibrancy Accelerator trifecta for the women that are done waiting and ready to make that declaration and say, yes, I'm important. I'm worthy of deep vitality and powerful clarity and a body that supports my greatest dreams, to have answers. And so today I just about ended on time. I'm so proud of myself. I'll see you tomorrow for the next powerful session. Tomorrow is a live Q&A. So please come on. I'm not going to have specific stuff ready. You get to submit your questions in advance, text them or email them, show up with your questions. We'll have actual banter and exchange. There'll be others sharing testimonials, and it's going to be a yummy, juicy day on a Sunday. For those of you that go, I'm not going to be live on a Sunday, totally get it. Ask your question in advance. Watch the replay. The replay will be available, and those replays stay up for another week. Just keep in mind, with the current trifecta offer, with that extra VIP day and the extra one-on-one call with me and discounted pricing, you just have to make that decision by February 5th. So book the call. Book the call with me if you have questions. If you're already clear, just know that you're clear and say yes, and ask Aaliyah questions. If you're like, I just enrolled in a program yesterday, actually, and we wanted to put a little bit of it on this card and a little bit of it on playing on cash. And they're like, of course we can work around, because I also get to consume my own support. I get to practice what I preach. Yeah. Okay. With that, I'm going to go back to being mom, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Ciao, ciao.